We are here this evening representing all the men that support the House of Ruth. But more importantly, we are here tonight to stand up and speak out. So we hope you enjoy the program tonight. And now I'd like to introduce Sue Abshire, our Executive Director for the House of Ruth. Once again, welcome.
Wow. Hi, everyone. What a nice crowd we have here tonight. And thank you so much, Tony. Tonight, we are here to honor the women and children who've died due to domestic violence this year, and the women who have survived. We are also here to thank all of the men who have taken a stand against domestic violence. You have worked every day to respect women, to honor your mothers, your wives, your sisters, and your daughters. You have found new ways to communicate that do not involve hitting. And you have joined in by standing up and speaking out with your support towards House of Ruth and the families we serve. I'd like to now introduce Captain Mike Ellis from the Pomona Police Department. They have been Pomona Police Department has been our partners in this event for 9 years, and we're very, very fortunate to have such a wonderful police department to deal with. So, welcome, Captain Ellis.
Well, I'm proud to say I'm one of the men that has taken a stand against domestic violence. I'm very proud of that. Well, on behalf of Pomona Police Chief, can you hear me? Is that better? On behalf of Pomona Police Chief Dave Keetle, I'd like to thank the House of Ruth for the invitation to tonight's Candlelight Vigil. It is my honor to say that the Pomona Police Department and the House of Ruth continue to be strong partners in the effort to bring awareness to the problems of domestic violence in our city. The police department has strong policies in place with regards to domestic violence, and we take a zero-tolerance approach to enforcing all domestic violence laws. We also have 2 detectives assigned solely to investigate family crimes. These detectives work hand in hand with the House of Ruth to provide highly needed resources to Pomona's domestic violence crime victims. And I thought it was important for me to share some statistics from the police department to show how much of a problem domestic violence continues to be in our city. Over the last 12 months, the police department has documented 1,065 domestic violence incidents. That's just in the city of Pomona. The police department has also made 520 arrests for domestic violence crimes in the last year alone. Those numbers are way too high, and it is our hope that efforts such as this one tonight shed some light on the continuing problems of domestic violence. And the men and women of the Pomona Police Department stand ready to defend those who are the most vulnerable in our city, and we look forward to our continued partnership with the House of Ruth. Thank you.
So what can we do to prevent violence against women? Number 1, approach it as a men's issue. You men not only as perpetrators or possible offenders, but as empowered bystanders who can confront abusive peers. Number 2, if a brother, friend, coworker, classmate, or teammate is abusing his female partner or is disrespectful or abusive to girls and women in general, don't look the other way. If you feel comfortable doing so, try to talk to him about it. Urge him to seek help. Or if you don't know what to do, consult a friend, a parent, a professor, or a counselor. Don't remain silent. Number 3, if you suspect that a woman close to you is being abused or has been sexually assaulted, gently ask if you can help.
Be an ally to women who are working to end all forms of gender violence. Support the House of Ruth. Attend public events like tonight's Candlelight Vigil. Raise money for the House of Ruth and organize a fundraiser. Mentor and teach our young boys about how to be men in ways they don't involve degrading or abusing girls and women or men. Teach and promote healthy concepts of manhood to our sons. Lead by example. Men are ultimately responsible for ending men's violence. This cannot be done without adhering to the voices, leadership, and experiences of women. When working to end any form of abuse, one must be accountable to those experiencing the abuse.
The majority of men are not violent, but they are silent. They are silent about these issues because other men keep them silent. They do not want other men to challenge their actions, so they send off a clear message to stay out of my business. But it's our responsibility to make it our business. We must no longer be bystanders. We must be upstanders. We must speak out. We must not look the other way. We must all work together to stop the violence.
Everybody, no more sleeping in bed, no more back to time to pain getting ahead. The world is changing so fast from what it used to be. There is so much hatred, war and poverty. Oh, we can all teach us time to teach us the way. They're the ones who come and the world isn't bad. We need to do the very best we can. Hey, if we just let it.
My next duty is to honor some folks who've done some wonderful things for House of Ruth this year. And I'd like to, first of all, I'm going to name them. Some, there might not be a representative from every place, but if there is, if you would come up, I'd really appreciate it. Family and Friends Golf. Okay, these are some great people that did a golf tournament for us. We had a lot of fun, raised a lot of money, and it was a blast. So look for it again next year in all our emails. Hair Phases Salon. Okay. Roger Johnson.
Yeah.
Roger Johnson is one of the wonderful men in our lives who comes to work here at House of Ruth every day and has made our lives so much better by having a wonderful facility manager like Roger. So we want to honor him as our guy. So. Roger. Chris Anzalone. Yay! Chris is an amazing guy too. He works over at Tri-City Mental Health, and he has provided us with some, the staff with some great training on working with folks who have mental health disabilities. And that's been wonderful. And not only that, he's the contact at Tri-City for our wellness program, our staff wellness program, which has been, we've been working on for 2.5, almost 3 years. And so we've gotten to know Chris, and we see him as a real supporter in the community as well as Tri-City, but Chris is special, so we're going to give him the award. Okay, how about Coach Al and the team? I want to see all the team up here. Come on. Okay, here's your Gary High School football program. And these guys are awesome. And last year they really helped out a lot with our holiday store. But they were so cool to come out tonight, and we really appreciate their presence. And Coach Al, you're a great mentor for these kids, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Ebony Armstrong has brought her son, Dalen Baker, and her uncle, James Armstrong, to share their message.
First, I'd like to say good evening to everyone. My name is James Armstrong. I am the uncle of Ebony Armstrong, the great uncle of her son Dalen, and the great uncle of her little girl Demi, who is now 5. I think I have that correct. I was asked by Ebony last week that the director of the House of Ruth asked that I would come and speak before you. And it's been a while since I've had to do something like this. And I immediately said, yeah, sure, no problem. To share the experience that I and the family went through during the ordeal of the domestic violence that Ebony experienced. After being asked and going through the thought process, which I hadn't thought about the incident for a long time, and rethinking the events that happened, and going from the very beginning, when I got the phone call, I was on the computer at about 11:30 that night, and my sister came into the breakfast room and told me something is wrong with Ebony, and I was like, what are you talking about? And she says, Ebony's in the hospital. And I said, okay. And she said, well, she's in Lancaster. And what is she doing in Lancaster? Well, her response to me was her and James got into it. It's like, okay. She said, well, the babies are up there. And I said, okay, well, we need to go and get the babies. That's what we need to do. So I woke my brother up and said, hey man, get up, we gotta go. So we hopped in my car, took off up to Lancaster, up to 14, and I remember pushing the car about 85, 90 miles an hour. I was really driving. I was really driving really fast because I wanted to get up there. Shouldn't have been driving that fast, but I wanted to get up there and get to Ebony and get to the kids because I was really concerned. Nobody really told us what was really happening. We get to the hospital. I was the first one. I walked into the emergency room where Ebony was, and she was laying there in the bed, and she was barely conscious, but the sight that I saw was shocking. You know, we read about these events, we hear about them, some of you may have experienced it, but when you actually walk in and you visually see it, it sends a chill through your body. And seeing her laying there and seeing the doctor working as diligently and as hard and sweaty, trying to stitch her up. The back of her head, she had a gash that was just unbelievable. Her face was swollen. And I said, oh my God, Ebony, what happened to you, baby? And I remember making a statement to the doctor. I can't remember what I said. And I remember him saying, if he had hit her one more time, she would have been dead. And that was horrifying to hear that. And my sister was standing behind me, and she never said not one word. And the ironic thing is that two of the abusive family members were standing there at the edge of her bed. And I remember getting upset, and I remember saying some words. And the anger came out, and after a few minutes I finally calmed down. And it was hard to understand why this happened. I left the emergency room, some of his family member was out there, and we were trying to ask questions and trying to get an understanding of what had occurred. And we weren't really getting any answers because no one was really saying anything. But we did find out that he had cleverly evaded the authorities from Lancaster and was headed down to Pasadena. We did learn that. Trying to figure out what was going on with the baby, Demi. After minutes of talking with the doctor, they told us that Demi had suffered an injury. She had a broken femur. That was horrifying. The doctor decided that they were going to keep her. They weren't going to let us take us home. Of course, we were able to bring Dalen back home. Ebony stayed in the hospital. As we further asked questions, we found out that Abby had some concerns while she was up there with Demi, and she was attempting to take her to leave the residence where she was at and take Demi to the hospital because she noticed something was not quite right. The abuser was making attempts to restrict her from leaving as she was attempting to get in the car. He attacked her, kicked her feet from under her. She fell to the ground, got on top of her, and began balled his fist up. This was a guy that was 6'2", 225 pounds. I'm 6'2", 175 pounds, so he's a big man. And he began to hit her with his fist. I believe he kicked her a couple of times, and she immediately went unconscious. This is what happened. So we came home. They immediately put Demi into foster care. I went to work. Made some phone calls, got in, a social worker contacted me. I immediately asked, what do we need to do to get Demi? Dayton was already with us. His father came in and got him. The family, I have 5 sisters. All of us immediately came together and decided we need to do what we needed to do to get Demi, make sure she doesn't remain in foster care. Abby came out of the hospital. She immediately came to stay with me to secure her safety. I had no contact with friends anymore. I changed my phone number. All those things I needed to do just to isolate myself for her own safety, because we had no idea where he was. He was a dangerous man. We learned later that he did have a serious criminal background. They were searching for it and had a hard time finding him. I went through, myself and family members went through a life scan. The fact that she was staying with me, I had to go through serious background checks, some serious scrutiny, and I passed because I was serious about her safety and getting the baby out of foster care. Through this whole process, I was out of work and I had decided to go back to school, and I was in school, and Abby was there in my home. Going back and forth to school, Abby was very, very afraid. I had to alter my life. I couldn't even walk out of the house and walk 25 feet to put trash in the dumpster without her being afraid. I had to take my keys, walk out, lock the door behind me, and immediately come back inside the house. Or if I had to go up to the post office, which is only 5 minutes away, she would immediately run out, hop in the car, and go with me. This is how afraid she was. And this is the devastation that domestic violence causes one. Especially if they have no one to turn to help to secure them. immediately after that, I decided, well, I think I'm just going to quit school. So I quit school and I stayed in the house with her for the months that it took for her to start to get emotionally better. She began to heal. She had lost a lot of weight. She began to get her weight back. You know, I had to sleep with my door open because she refused to allow me to close it, my bedroom door. This is how afraid she was. She immediately began to get her strength back. She went going back and forth to court. We drove from Covina to Lancaster twice a week. I did not miss not one court appearance with her. This went on for 3 years. Not one child service appearance in court. And the reason I'm saying this because it's very important when a female goes through this that they have family support. And eventually after, I believe, I don't know, I think it was 3 months, maybe 4 months, after showing up in family court with the families and the support that she had, the judge finally gave Demi back. And it was because of the strong family support that the judge visually saw every time we appeared in court. So I cannot stress the importance that an individual needs when they go through this. I cannot stress the importance that a man of the family, of an individual that goes through this, needs to stand up and be strong and be in the forefront to show the support in court, in the families, whatever they need to do. I mean, live scan, you know, get the babies of the individuals, you know, change diapers, do whatever you need to do. But be supportive and be strong. It's important, and they need this. Talk to these young boys, these young teenagers, these grown men about domestic violence and the importance of not raising their hands to strike anyone, especially females. So let's teach them. Don't raise our fists to strike anyone, but raise our fists to strike down the walls of violence against women. Now I'm going to introduce you to you, Ebony's son, Nathan Baker.
Hi everyone, my name is Dalen. I'm 15 years old. When my mom was attacked by her boyfriend at the time, I was 10 years old. I saw the whole thing. It was a horrible day for me, and a day I wish had never happened. It all happened so fast, I didn't know what to do. I grabbed my little sister Demi and put her in the car. My mom needed my help, and I didn't know how to help her. So I got out the car and started yelling for someone to help my mom. I was scared, really terrified that he might kill my mom. It was a horrible experience, and one I'll never forget. And what I learned from this day is that I will never be violent to women, my sister, or any girl that I ever meet. I want to grow up to have healthy relationships, and also for my little sister. And if I see someone hurting someone else, I will speak up. I'm not afraid to stand up for what's right. What happened to my mom was not right. I will never let something like that happen to her again, or our family. Thank you.
In closing, I would like to take this opportunity. I would like to thank the House of Ruth for their support in assisting Ebony and their kids through the domestic violence situation, and commend the House of Ruth for the diligent work throughout their communities, and ask that they keep up the good work. Thank you.